Application Development Lecture Series. This is your sixth lecture on continuation of the Android program development. So today is a very interesting one where we'll be developing an application where you can navigate from one activity to another activity. So in simple terms, if I have to say, we'll be navigating from one page to another page or one window to another window. So you might be very interesting to see that how do we navigate in a mobile phone when there are more number of activities involved, how do we navigate it? So it is very easy to navigate in a web application or a Windows application where you on clicking a button you'll be opening up another page by using a navigation URL. You'll be giving a navigation URL, it will open another page in a web application. It's the same process which we follow it here, which we call it as intents. So today's discussion is all about intents. How do we navigate from one activity to another activity, or how do we open from one application to another application? Say example, now you are opened a WhatsApp application where you are looking into images, videos and many other stuffs. When there is an URL link which you need to open it through a browser or any other application, what you do? You click a URL. So your WhatsApp application, in an WhatsApp application, if you click an URL, what should it happen? It should open another browser application, and using that browser application, it should open that URL. So this is our stuff. This is what is expected. If you want to write a mail, when you will open a Gmail application. Say example, you are working on a word processor, now you want to send a mail. Then there is an option to send email in one word processing. So when you click a word processing email option, it will ask you whether you want to send it through Gmail application or you want to open any Outlook application or any other applications which are available on your mobile phone. So it will ask you which application. So in a simple terms, if I have to come out with this, say you have a picture to be viewed in a gallery. So many times it will ask you, how do you want to view it? Using which application do you want to open it? So in such cases, you are going to select which application you want. How all these things are happening? This is using intents which is working out, which means intents are meant to open another component or navigate from one activity to another activity or from one application to another application. With this stuff, let's begin today's class. So today we will be looking into the intents, exclusively the intents. There are actually two types of intents. One is implicit intent and there is explicit intent. So what exactly we will be looking today with respect to the intents is, we will be discussing what are the intents, what are the types, and then we will be writing a small application with respect to the intents. So what are intents? If you have to see, so a lot of text on the screen. So in a simple terms, if I have to say, it's the same, one component opening another component. So one activity calling another activity. One application calling another application is all what we say it as intents. So that is what it means. Intents allow you to interact with components from the same application as well as with components contributed by other applications. So you can, within the application also you can navigate, outside the application also you can navigate, you can go to another application. So there are two types, explicit and implicit. So what do you mean by explicit or implicit? Very easy if I have to say. So you have an application, in your application you have two activities. This is activity 1, this is activity 2. Which means there are two windows, same application. So you want to open this activity on clicking this button. So if you click this button, open button, then it will open activity 2. So this is nothing but explicit intents. We use explicit intents to access components of its own application. It could be an activity, it could be a service, it could be a broadcast receiver, it could be a service provider. So within the application, if you want to access different components, then we use explicit intents. So this we call it as explicit. Then what is implicit? Implicit is another one, a simple one. So you have an application, say this is an application. So WhatsApp, application 1. So WhatsApp application is opening another application, that is Gmail. On clicking something, it will open another application. This is application 2. So this is nothing but implicit intents. We use implicit intents to access, to open another application. So this is an WhatsApp application, application 1. This is Gmail application, application 2. On clicking a button, we open app 2, application 2. So this is nothing but implicit. This is nothing but explicit. So with this, we are going to begin our coding. So before that, some more context of things we'll learn what exactly it means. So the same with a picture. What is an intent? Intent is used to access other components or other applications. So you can go to a gallery and you can come back from a gallery to the application. So this is using explicit. This is a very good example for explicit. This is one other application, this is another application. From this main activity application, you open the gallery and you come back. So this is possible using an intent. This is just an example for an intent. This is an example for your explicit. So I am giving a very important code part. If you are observing it, this is a very important code part. We are making use of a class called intent. We are creating an object called I. So how do we access explicit intents? So we are creating an object for intent. We are passing two parameters, this comma activity2 dot class. So which means this code will be written in a activity 1 where we call activity 2. So you are going to make use of intent, class and objects to navigate from one activity to another activity. So a simple after writing this code, then what you will be doing is you will be starting the activity. So you will be starting the activity. So at that point of time, it will open the next intent. So this is an example for explicit intent. The same code has been elaborated. Nothing big, no changes in this. And first activity, on clicking this button, you're opening another activity. So this application will be developing right now. So we'll be developing an explicit intent application. So an implicit intent, one application to another application, where what you will be doing is, we'll develop on this as well, where intent from one application, your application, you are opening a web URL. You will be opening tutorialspoint.com, which means using your application, you are accessing a browser and opening an URL. This is called as implicit intents. This is nothing but implicit intents. So there are two types in intents: implicit intent, explicit intent. So in implicit intent, you might go to a geolocation, maps or any other applications. You can make a call from your application. You can launch a different website. So these are all part of your implicit intent. What are all the explicit intents? You can launch another activity. These are all the components. You can launch an activity. You can start a background service. You can start a broadcast receiver. All these are part of your explicit intents. So overall, what is the purpose of using it? For data transfer. From one application, you can pass some data to another application. From one activity to you can pass some data to another activity. How do we do that? We use two types, with a bundle and with extra. Put extra. We'll be using bundle and put extra. Using this, you will be able to pass on the information or data from one activity to another activity, or from one application to another applications. Do remember, in intents, if you want to pass some information from one activity to another activity, could be that in an application you want to pass some information of an array related things or a string from one activity to another activities. Then you are going to make use of bundle or put extra. So if at all a need arises where you want to pass on the data, when you want to transfer data from one activity to another activity, then it is good to use bundle or put extra. So some code parts for that. So how do you use put extra, the code part? How do we use bundle, the code part? So whenever is required, you will be able to easily access this. So examples of using intent, you can use it to open a new activity, pass data from activities, launching the built-in web browsers. So you have many applications of using intents. So intents are very important. Where how do we navigate from one application to another application, from one activity to another activity. So this is the best example. So if you want to navigate, it is good to use intents. So with this, let's start a demo part where we are in a code. I'm going to show you how to write intents. Okay, let's create an application. For you, I've already I've not created an application, I've opened an application where a blank empty application. The application name is intent. So what I will be doing what I'll be doing here is, I'll be having a button open. On clicking this button, another activity should be opened. So which means by default in my application I have one activity, I'll be creating the second activity. Okay, how do you create and how do you include a second activity? Please observe it. Go to apps, right click, you have a new, there you have something called as activity. Inside the activity you have empty activity. Select empty activity. What is the name you want to give? I would like to give it as second activity. Okay, then finish. So my second activity is created, which is getting built, Wait for a second. When everything is done and our Gradle is ready to go. Okay, everything is done, which means you can observe I have a main activity and I have a second activity. So there are two activities. For both activities I have got two XML files. So I have two XML files and I have two main functions, Java functions. Now let's code it. I'll go to the activity 1, which is nothing but activity underscore main. So this is activity underscore main. Let me improvise. So do I need some text? Let it be there to identify. So it is already organized, which is absolute in nature. I am going to rename this with activity 1. First activity. Okay. So you want to increase the size of it, then let's go to auto text size, text size. Text size, I am going to increase it to 24 SP. Good. So I am with a 24 XP. You want more? Then I can go with 32 SP. Okay, my first activity is showing me. So you can visit, it is ready. So now I have to click a button. I have to click a button here. So I am going to place a button for this. So button, I am going to bring it here. So I am going to organize it. Okay. Now the attributes part, what do you want to call? Open second activity. Open second. So the common attribute size, let me increase it. First activity is open second. Okay, I am done with this. So on clicking this open second, it should open the second activity. So now I have to go to the second activity and I have to say that this is the second activity. So let me increase the size of the second activity. I do not have anything. So let me bring in a text view. So let me drag it. Attributes, ESP. So what is the text I want? I want to display it as second activity. Okay. So do you want to open, this is the second activity. So now the application is, the view UI is ready. Now let's write a code. How do we give an access from first activity to the second activity. So the from first activity I have to click a button, so I have got two views to be changed. So what all those things I have to access a button, okay. So there is an error for which alt enter, import class, import done. Button is the ID is created, the reference is created. Now I have to give find view by ID access. Button is equal to by ID r dot ID dot button. Okay, now it is ready. So on clicking this button, I have to call an on click listener button dot set on click listener new view. So ready. So on click event is ready. So in this on click event, what am I supposed to do? I am supposed to enter the code wherein I am supposed to create an object for intent. So it is also need to be imported, the class alt enter import class. So now it is ready. Intent. So object is created, new, very easy, intent. So which are the parameters? You need to get application context, which is nothing but current this or get application context, one and the same. Which is the activity you want to call? The activity is second activity. So I have to call second activity dot class. This is very important. You are going to use a class to, you are going to give a class to be called from Java. The next part is start activity. So here you have to give the object of intent. Okay. So with this, the code is ready. So our intent code is ready. Now let's execute the program and check it out. I am going to show it on my mobile screen. So Gradle is getting built. Many of you have faced errors with the Gradle. Gradle build is happening. For the first time it will take more time since I created a new project. So it is taking more time to build the Gradle. It will take minimum 2-3 minutes. It's been a minute opening a Gradle. Have patience, it will open in another 1 or 2 minutes. It should be done building the application. So we have done which intents? We have done with a explicit intent. Application is getting built. This is a very important code which you have to observe. These two lines are very important. If you want, you can make a note of it. So this is an class, this is an object, and you are creating an object for object name, and you are creating an object, and it takes two parameters. One is this and another is call part. So it's getting opened. Application is getting opened. So it's getting installed. Application should be launched at any time. Yes. So the first activity application is opened. So now on clicking the open second, it should open the second activity. Now it has opened the second activity. So if you are observing it, it has opened the second activity. Now if you want to go back, then you can create another intent wherein you can give a button here and you can redirect it to the previous one, or else you can simply go back from your application, open, or else you can click this navigation back button. Back button, if you please, it will open. So or else if you want to open through an intent, then again you have to write a code in second activity through which you can open the first activity. So it's easy. So in the same way you can do it with the URL part also. You provide any URL, it will open another URL. If you want, we can have a look at it. So what is the code for the URL? Just to make it fast, I am going to copy the code part. I am going to show you. URI alt enter import class. So on clicking a button, it should open the browser and it should work fine. Now let's check it out. How to do a implicit. So now I am converting from the first activity. On clicking the button, it should open a browser with the URL. Application is getting installed. Wait for a minute. Okay. Now on clicking this, you can observe it has launched the application. Now on clicking open second, it should open a browser. So since mine is no data connectivity, it is not accessing the browser, so or else it should be opening it fine. With this, I am going to end today's class where we have learned the intents. Okay. So what is today's class? Today's class is all about intents, where we access, where we give a navigation from one activity to another activity, from one application to another application. So we have two types of intents: implicit intent, explicit intent. So with this, I am going to end today's session. Thank you.